So, welcome to Wrocław. It's actually my second day here already, but yesterday was really rainy and not suitable for recording. Set along the Odra River, Wrocław, often called the Venice of Poland, is a city of bridges, islands, and timeless charm. Despite almost getting destroyed during World War II, the currently third biggest city in Poland has much to offer, especially the historic town center. I'm going to spend today walking around the city. Should turn around so you can actually see something interesting. But yeah, I'm going to walk around today. I have a evening tour of the city booked on evening, logically. So in the meantime, I'm going to explore. But first I need to get some breakfast. Just looking around, you would probably never guess most of the city was bombed to pieces in 1945. Small pro tip, if you're exploring a city, get up earlier and go outside at around 7 or max 8 am. You'll have it mostly to yourself, especially on weekends. But enough talking, let's get some food. And for that, one of the best places is Żabka. Polish mini-mart if you will. Not the most traditional breakfast, but trust me, these quark bars are something else. These colorful houses are probably the most known image from Wrocław. Alright, so we are currently here, where most of the historic stuff is. However, there's also an interesting place here, where we'll be going to later. But first things first, there's still a lot to do and see around the main square, be it colorful houses, these two named after the story of Hansel and Gretel, the Church of Saint Elizabeth, or these little bronze dwarfs you can find all over the city. There's about 1400 of them, and all of them have something to do, from daily routines to promoting nearby shops. You can spend a lot of time looking for these little guys. As for the viewpoints and museum though, everything opens at 10 at least. Most opens at 11, so not a good place for early birds. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here right now. I'm planning to go to some museums because that's my thing as of lately. But yeah, I have to spend 45 minutes somewhere. So let's see what we find. With nothing much to do, I just went back to the main square to once again appreciate the old town hall and also visit another dominant of the city. It's really peaceful today, I must say, and it's very pleasant to walk around just aimlessly because the weather is actually nice for once. We actually are getting some sun. Anyway, I'm not sure if you can see it. It's not visible from this angle. There's a bridge you can go to. I am undecided on that. The view has to be amazing, but stairs. I hate stairs. So I'm just going to go inside and I believe it's also paid. So we will see. This is the Cathedral of St. Maria Magdalena. One of the oldest and architecturally richest churches in Wrocław, combining elements from Romanesque to Gothic to modern restoration. To get up on the bridge, you need to take 274 steps, which will take you to a view of the whole old town. Unfortunately. Okay, so yeah, I was right. The entry is paid. It's like 18 zloty for adult ticket. I'm not paying money to get killed by stairs. Don't get me wrong, I would definitely like to go on a viewpoint. However, I am not that into city views, and I have a bad memories from Bratislava Castle, where after spending half an hour scaling all the stairs in the castle, my knees decided to just not work anymore. So yeah, I'm not risking this. However, I do have another viewpoint in mind, which is in one of the museums that I want to see. And it's where we are going now. So let's go. Since the University of Wrocław celebrates 80 years, it would be a shame not to take a look inside. As in any other museum, you get a ticket to however many halls you want to see, and then you are free to roam. There are 4 halls in total, 2 halls minimum for entry. In the first one, there's an exposition mapping the history of the university, the development of taught subjects, and even parts of the collection brought back from colonies in the past century. Done in a pretty tasteful manner, no glorifying those expeditions, at least in my opinion. But the one hall you definitely can't miss out on is Aula Leopoldina. So this is the Aula Leopoldina, and honestly, if we had aulas like this in uni, that would be something utterly different to learn in this. I'm actually not sure if this was used for learning, so I will do a voiceover in case it wasn't. But aula for me means something was taught here. So yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful. It looks more like a church actually than like a learning place, but hey, we are at university, so. Truly, it's a masterpiece. A Baroque masterpiece from 1970s, in fact, filled with gold, frescoes and sculptures that celebrate knowledge and faith. It's hard to believe this stunning hall was indeed once used for lectures. Today, it's where the university holds its most important ceremonies like inaugurations and graduations. And last but not least, the promised viewpoint at the top of the university, from which you can see pretty much the whole city center. And look, we are pretty much at the same height as if we went on the bridge. Except from here, you can actually see all the important landmarks at once. As well as the more modern side of Wrocław. And after all the walking and stairs, it's time for lunch. This is Lepione, a self-serving restaurant right opposite the museum, absolutely perfect for my anxiety. Half traditional with the pierogies, half the other stuff that looked good. The food tasted quite well, although I did leave much poorer than I planned. Should have seen that coming. By the way, pro tip for this kind of establishments. Never ever get minced meat in any shape or form. Sorry. I speak from experience, and it's not a pleasant experience. So if you get meat here in these like buffet styles, always take like a whole slab of meat, not minced meat. You will thank me later, you will see. Also, obviously it started to rain again, but yeah, otherwise the food is pretty good in there. Like the selection is large and they have a lot of space. Even after a group of kids charged in, like the whole class, it was still relatively empty. There were empty seats. So yeah, definitely check this out if you need food like this very moment and you are super hungry. And also opposite of Lepione is Church of the Most Holy Name of Jesus. Huge, quiet and beautiful. And this is where we were before. By the way, another cheap eating option is bar mleczny, basically canteens you can find all over Poland. But careful about your timing, the queues can get pretty long. Also, this is where I'm staying. Absolutely perfect location, but those damn stairs are going to be the death of me. Greetings from my current humble abode. I went back to my room, or the shared room. I'm staying in dorms because 1, it started to rain again, 2, I need to charge my camera, and 3, because I just want to rest a little bit, which is something I find very freeing to do since I started traveling alone. So yeah, it has its ups and downs, but I wouldn't change for anything. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No, okay, just joking, but it's one of the advantages of solo traveling. You can just have a rest whenever you want to. Anyway, as I said before, I have an evening tour of the city booked, which starts in about 2.5 hours. So I'm just going to save my feet because it's going to be about 70 minutes long, and I imagine we will do a lot of walking. So I'm just going to rest my feet and digest the lunch I just had. So far, the weather could be slightly better, but that's to be expected when one is traveling in October. However, I will take this kind of gray weather over 35-degree heat any day of the year. So see you in like 2 hours, I guess. Alright, time to get going. I didn't record much on the tour since it was just me and the guide and it felt rude, but the city has a completely different vibe after dark and it's definitely a good one. Good morning on day 3 of my Poland trip, and we are heading to the train station because I have a day trip in mind. Well, in mind, not anymore, because I paid for the train tickets yesterday. We are going to Poznań, which also made me realize that I messed up with planning this time around, and yeah, I fumbled with the train tickets and I barely got a seat because I was booking last minute. So this is your tip for train traveling in Europe: book in advance. Not only because of prices, but also because you might not get a seat if you don't. So yeah, but I also managed to get a pretty good price on the tomorrow train to Krakow. So all's good, all's well that ends well, and I will try to catch the train. Hopefully I'm not going to be late. So, see you there. Look at the train station. Doesn't it look more like a castle? Just joking about the time, of course. I'm chronically early to everything, and even the seat was pretty solid. And just about an hour and a half later, we are at today's destination, aka a maze. Well, welcome to Poznań, specifically to the tunnels under Poznań main train station. It takes about 10 minutes to just get to the platforms, so I'm not sure if this is good or bad for my anxious, chronically early self. It did absolutely nothing, because as it turned out, I chose the worst exit I could.
Anyway.
However, we have about 4.5 hours here, so let's see what we can find. I'm heading towards the center, and yeah, we will see. Hopefully I will get out of this maze. They have signs, don't get me wrong, but yeah. All's well that ends well. I found my way out of the maze, and now I'm in another maze, which is this quite pretty park. I'm trying to stay along this road. Overall, I would say Polish trains pretty good. They actually have power sockets for every seat, which is nice. Czech railways could never. And yeah, we had a slight delay, but that's fine.
Similarly to Wrocław, Poznań is a city of narrow streets, beautiful churches and cathedrals like the Basilica of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, St. Mary Magdalene, and St. Stanislaus, a grand Baroque showpiece built by Jesuits in the 17th to 18th century and famous for its ceiling paintings, decorated chapels, and red and gold marble columns that are actually painted wood. Colorful houses and picturesque squares included in the package. And this is the town hall, a stunning piece of architecture which I first thought was a mosque. Despite the cloudy and windy weather, the center was quite lively, and even in the grey tint, the rainbow houses feel like something out of a fairy tale book. There's also a royal castle situated slightly above the city. With a nice little museum. And a pretty epic view of the city.
So after many stairs, I am on a viewing platform at the Poznań castle, or is it castle? Yeah, it is castle, like a royal castle. And you can... Yes, now you can see the view. There's one more floor, and I will go there. Probably it's going to be a better view. But I was just overtaken by a herd of teenagers, so I'm waiting until they get down. Anyway, yeah, there's a museum, and it costs like 20 zloty, I think. So definitely check it out, it's nice. And yeah, no view, and now you can see. The view is nice, the view is very nice for the price. There is an elevator. However, it's not working today, so yeah, I had to walk up. Onwards we go, I guess. Never mind that, it's pretty much the same, it's just windier and I'm cold. At least you can actually see something behind me because there's no glass. Yeah, I'm going down, going to take a look at the other part of the museum, and then we are heading back to the train station. Already, I know, but yeah, this was supposed to be a short trip. But hey, I'm enjoying this city, it's really pretty, especially like the Rynek, the central square. It's really pretty, except for the two guys who are catching people off guard with green desks and stuff that I am like 80% sure is some form of scam. I'm heading back down.
Thank you for watching, stay tuned for part 2 and more Poland adventures.